Hello and welcome to the I Am Evolution podcast. Spirit guide and soul sage Raina shares the knowledge of the universe to awaken and raise consciousness within. All of us have forgotten who we are and why we are here. But if we open our minds to new knowledge, we can use duality to achieve different perspectives to regain our unity. When we expand our awareness within, our possibilities become limitless. Let's begin to remember who we truly are and fulfill our mission and purpose to become conscious. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the I Am Evolution podcast. As always, I'm your host, Raina, and today is Tuesday, and I am so excited. Before we get into today's show, because we have such amazing guests today, I want to talk a little bit about the hurricane that Florida's experiencing right now. As always, you know, it's that time of the season. Florida's experiencing our daily hurricanes. It seems like it because we get so many of them. I think there's 2 more coming our way as well. But it is up in the Panhandle, and it is a Category 3. Normally, as you guys know, Floridians, we don't stress out Category 1, 2. We have a lot of hurricane parties, but when it starts to get a 3 and above, that's when a lot of the destruction comes in. So to all those people in the Panhandle, please be safe. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, please be safe. Make sure that you guys have all your supplies ready, and let's hope that this hurricane passes through. Anyways, guys, before we get started, as always, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or it's not Twitter anymore. It's called X. Elon Musk changed it. I still can't get used to it because X just, I don't know. I don't know about you guys. X just doesn't sound right yet. Hopefully he changes it to something fun and exciting and that. I don't know. But anyways, and D Live. Our replays for this event will be on our Facebook events. If you guys aren't subscribed to our Facebook page, please go to I Am Evolution Podcast on our Facebook and subscribe, and you will get notifications to all our wonderful events and podcasts and everything we're doing. So, I'm excited. Can you tell? Because we have such amazing guests tonight. And our guests tonight are native New Mexicans. And they're here to escort us to people who are ready to get back to Innerstanding trekking the world, to create a collective frequency. Based on a vision of no division, which sounds absolutely amazing. How great would that be with no division? We all meet eye to eye, heart to heart, back to our true rainbow tribe. So please help me welcome my very special guest today, the Chinos, Tammy and Anthony.
Hola, hi, how are you?
Hello, welcome. It's
so good to see you again.
It is. I'm so excited to see you guys. It's only been a couple of weeks, but doesn't it seem like a long time has passed?
Yes.
Yeah. It does. So for those of you guys who don't know, I met the Chinos in Albuquerque. We did an event, a collective frequency event a couple weeks ago. We posted it on the I Am Evolution Facebook page. And there was just such a wonderful connection at this event. I told Caleb, and I still talk about it several weeks later, and I said, you know what? I missed that connection, that collective connection that we all had during that event. And right away, we connected, we clicked, and I wanted to share who you guys were with my watchers.
Yay! Well, we're excited. We're excited to be here. We haven't been on a podcast in a while.
It's been a minute. So, yeah. So
we're rusty.
Rusty, you do videos all the time. I see you go for like an hour. You're like,
oh my gosh!
We just got back from another event, and it's been really amazing during this time because we're seeing more gatherings that are more heartfelt, more heart to heart, eye to eye, heart to heart. So it's been really nice to know that people are moving forward and answering the call. Answering the call is what's going on. How do you feel, Dave?
Well, it's about time everybody's answering the call. I mean, they keep refusing not to answer that call, and it's like, well, it's kind of. Now we got to step into our power and our sovereignty and claim who you are, or you can just stay where you're at. It's up to you. We can't tell you what to do or who to be.
Yeah, we're just doorways home. That's it. We're all just doorways home. Home to the Innerstanding, to the great I am.
It's funny because as I was learning your bio, I had such a tongue twister with that for some reason. My dyslexia was kicking in, and I read it over and over and over, and I was like, "Oh, please, Raina, don't mess this up," because I kept saying like Interstellar, because I'm big into all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
and traveling, we've traveled far and wide to like to see why are we so divided? What's going on?
Hmm.
What's the deal with this? We need to all come together and be with each other and support one another so that way we can elevate. And it's a really good video game we created. As the great I am, we created a lot of content in this movie, and it's exciting. It's an exciting movie, right?
it
Our goal is just to be able to have more fun and not have to have so much trauma and tumultuary. We don't want to go on all those loop loop roller coaster rides and then throw up, right? We want to like have some fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I love roller coasters. I
I
love
know, me
I,
too.
that. Yeah,
but this Earth roller coaster is a doozy. This one
yeah,
is like, oh my god, I don't want to go around again. Oh, hey, you get a free ride. You go again. Like,
you go
oh
right
no,
back. You don't even get to go over. You go right back in.
that's
So
right.
But before we get to all this, because there's going to be so much that we're going to talk about, and I know this hour is going to fly by. Let our listeners and our viewers let them know a little bit about you guys.
well, I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he's from the reservation.
Laguna Acoma Reservation.
Hmm. And so when we got married about 9 years ago, I needed a partner to help me do the things that I've been doing for several years. And and oh, this is we'll explain it. So this is me right here traveling and planting the seeds. And then when we got married, this is him helping me collect all the seeds. See how cute?
Oh, very,
Ah. And
very.
so yeah, so when we got together, Spirit just said it's time for you to unite. It's time for us to unite the masculine and feminine. And so and we just hit the road, and it kept going and going, and Spirit just kept sending us. And what I mean by Spirit is our expanded self. All of our answers keep coming through, if we sit still enough to listen. But it was like following the breadcrumbs, or like ET when he's following the Reese's Pieces. He's like following all the little Reese's Pieces to go into the storage shed. So that's kind of like what we were doing. We were following all the Reese's Pieces to where we're supposed to go. And how were we to gather everybody? And so as we did this, we created collective frequency, which is a vision of no division. This was a download that I had long ago, about 14 years ago, on how to sit in a kiva, how to create a community, a common unity, a community that has the common unity, and the collective frequency was the name of it, which is the collective on the same frequency. So we all have to be at the same frequency so we can see each other. So like right now, we're on the same frequency, right? So we're like seeing each other eye to eye, heart to heart. And so sometimes it shifts, and it always shifts. Our friendships and all that always shift. And as we created this, we wanted a platform for everyone to sit in, for everyone to share what they've mastered, because everybody's mastered something. And sitting in this circle, you learn many things. It's 14 years of Wednesdays, and everybody takes a turn. And I don't care if you're a spiritual healer, or if you're a yoga instructor, or if you teach us how to run our finances. That was something that needed to be shared at that time. And then it was followed by a meditation. So that way people learn different modalities of meditation. And this brought the community together, and it took away that red carpet mentality where it's just you show up just for your thing. You know what I mean? So it was for us to share together, eye to eye, heart to heart, and always in a circle. No classroom setting, no hierarchy setting. So that was something that we needed to go back to, because that's something that we used to practice in the indigenous culture. So
Yeah.
so that's one of the downloads that Spirit gave us, and that was like the first stage of everything that's coming together now for the collective frequency living land. So yeah.
So one of the biggest questions for many of us on this conscious journey is how do we gather ourselves together? Because we see, like as you were saying, those who are on the same frequency see each other, but at the same time, there's so many of us out there, and as we're navigating through our journey or our path, whatever we want to call it, one of the hardest things to do is find people that are like us or going on that same path, or because there's so many different ways to get there. And it's hard for us sometimes because we tend to think and want to feel that the way we're doing things is the right way. And we get into all my no words and the judgments and everything like that. But, to bring people together. And one of the things that I liked about the event that we did is that everyone had like their own uniqueness to them. And even though we were all kind of going on different ways about it, it was still the collectiveness of understanding that there's one goal, and that is us.
It's to gather a bunch of people. We were told this like years ago. Okay, it's like going to grandma's house. What does grandma always have? Always like some baked goods, some cookies. Oh, we're giving you some cookies and some, come in, have some snacks, and we'll
Right.
pick the place, and you guys just come over here. Um, but yeah, it's right now we're in a time where we're like testing out everybody. We're like looking at ourselves and looking at everybody else around us. And right now, the messages that came in is like community doesn't want to commune together, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And because we're like in a weird place of the ego state of mind. So we have to master the ego to finally let down our guard and speak from our heart, and really, then we can gather, because the gathering, and they're small, make them small. We don't want, big old giant ones just yet, because we're not ready for that yet.
Right.
So this is one of the messages from Spirit is that gather in small groups, and the more intention you put into it, and the more intentions of gathering people within ourselves, the more people will come and make their own circles all over the place.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, yeah, we have milk and cookies, come check it out, and it's just like
Yeah.
that's if food gathers people,
It
right?
does.
So
And one of the things that was great about that is that during the event it taught me, like even myself, like how the state of Florida has conditioned my mind to be, antisocial and push back and weary of everybody, because normally I'm very open and fun loving and I'm joking and stuff, but even I find myself, and so when we got there, I found myself a little standoffish. And even one of your friends, Alana, and that she came up to me and started talking to me, and I was like, "Whoa, who's?" And I caught myself. I was like,
oh, that's too much energy for me.
Woo!
Hold on.
"Oh, back up, 20 feet here, 20 feet." And I had to catch myself, and I was like, "You're not in Florida. She's not attacking you." And I think that's something that we, even as spiritualists, conscious people, whatever we want to call ourselves, I think that's something that we're falling trapped to, is this distancing that we're expecting instead of coming together, as you guys say.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a plan that they were interviewing. And what I mean by they is like whoever doesn't want us to come together to find who we really are. And I think a lot of us really had to step away from each other so we could recognize our own mirror. And then now we're stepping into seeing all of our mirrors now and starting to recognize what triggers us, what doesn't trigger us. Why are we making such a big deal out of that? Why does that person bother me? Why does
Yeah.
that person's smell bother me? No, just kidding. So it's just really recognizing all the things that we don't like about ourselves, and then really facing those, and then fixing them within ourselves, and then pretty soon you won't be bothered by anybody. Actually, you'll just have more boundaries. And
Yeah.
that's what I honor about you is you have your own boundaries, which is really good. I'm learning from you. But yeah, having boundaries is really a good thing for us to learn. And during all the pandemic and all the stuff that was going on, it really actually was kind of a blessing in disguise. It
Yeah.
really was, for a lot of people in a lot of ways. And there's always the polarity that happens. There's always the bad things, but then there's the good things. And then it's just how you look at it in the perspective that you look at it in. And so, uh, collecting people, we did that for 14 years. And then it started getting to this point of like cultic, like if we were cultivating people.
Yeah.
And when you're cultivating, there's a cult in front of it. And I'm learning this, that there's cults in everything. There's cults
Right.
even in how you eat. There's
Yeah.
cults in like the religion you're in, the culture that you're in. Why do you? It's called culture, right? So, anyways, it's like we're trying to create these little gangs,
Yeah.
and so Spirit told us, it's break it apart, break it
Yes.
apart, and let everybody go find their sovereignty. And what does that look like when they find their sovereignty? And then let's all meet each other and let's all hold hands. And
Yeah.
that's why we do the all I ask of you in the beginning, is
Yeah.
because we want to break down the ego.
Hmm.
Because when you go to an event, there's so much ego and so much puffing of our peacock feathers, which I love. And it breaks down the ego so that way we can
Yeah.
really truly see each other and go, oh, this is my family. Get
Yes.
out of that ego mind. That's the best tool that we've gotten from the Sufi
Yeah.
religion. And it's beautiful. We use it a lot, and so it helps us see each other because we're looking at each other eye to eye and heart to heart, and it
Yeah.
makes you recognize who you are. And I don't know if you saw, but everybody's face starts turning in just to one face
Yeah.
because we're all each other. So it's crazy. The more faces you look at, it
Yeah.
turns into just one face.
But
Yeah.
we're all each other anyways, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, we have a hard enough time dealing with ourselves,
Yeah.
let alone the other perspective of ourselves.
Right.
So this is what we gather in a circle so we can see all the different aspects of ourselves and say, "Wow, I'm amazing. Wow, I have some more work I have to do on that." And like it's just
Don't we
like,
hate that?
yeah,
Oh,
I
humble
was
pie does not taste good.
uh, I was talking to a few people at the Kava bar before the tournament last night,
Oh yeah,
and
congratulations, by the way.
oh yeah, oh by the way, that was just a joke. That was a whole joke.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
like, let's go to Las Vegas.
no, right? Soon. That's gonna happen soon, but just not yet. But I was talking, and they were saying like, I don't know why, like I keep running into this, and I keep having this relationship with this one person, and it seems like we like love each other, but it can't. And it's like, and I sat there and I said, first of all, the thing that we have to do is remember that relationships are meant for reflection. They're
hmm,
there to teach us about who we are because that's the aspect about ourselves that teaches us. And how you said like everything is cultivated, and yeah, everything is like a cult or gangs or cliques or whatever, because no matter what you go to, whether I do gaming or pool or you guys do spirituality or whatever it is, like there's
Mm-hmm.
all these different things, and we're trying to find ourselves in these ideas. And I
hmm,
think that's where like a lot of people who aren't making this jump that we're going through are going to get stuck in, is this idea, well, this if I become a champion at this, well, then this is who I am, this is my identity. If I'm One of my friends was terrified when I said, well, honey, like the chances of you and your boyfriend staying together because you're only 20 and 19, coming from someone who's older who knows, like, a lot of that young relationship doesn't last, sometimes they do, but the terror on their face was like, well, what do you mean? No, this is the only person for me. And the panic went in because the attachment to this, because the cultivated idea, like you said, is implanted in their brain saying, I have to have this. This means who I am.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Although you have other choices of different flavors and
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, guys, I just seen, and we're cutting it really close to commercial, so we are going to take a little break. And everybody, we will be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561 318 0006. That's 561 318 0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. And if you're just joining us, we have the fabulous Chinos with us. And we were just talking about how people cultivate their ideas to see on who they are without seeing the reflection or the mirror, as we were talking about. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because we were talking about this just a little bit ago, and Tammy said something that was about spirit to human. And I want them to go in a little bit about that. What do you mean by spirit to human experience?
Well, we start out as spirits and we're learning how to be human. And what we've been like talking about and going through is that as we come into this earth, we come in awe, right? We're a little baby and we come back with a lot of memories. But then we get programmed to not utilize these memories. Even our light language, our babble that we come in with, they tell us not to use it. And then as you get a little bit older, then you start learning about like what not to do as a human. So we have to remember, we have to actually learn how to be a human instead of just be. And so it's like a whole programming of how to be a better human and how to be polite, how to say the right things, how to have etiquette, how to not bury your own sister at 5 years old. Just kidding. And so, okay, I'm
That's a little too much for the show.
yeah. So it's like and those are things that we're not born with. We don't know this, so we have to learn how to be a human. We have to learn how to be a better human. And then the older you get, you start unhumanizing again, and you start not giving a and you
Yeah,
start not giving a care about anything, and you start just saying whatever, right? And
yeah,
so as the older you go, you're leaving your body. So when we're outside of our body, when we're out of this earth and this density, we are everything. We're love, we're empathy, we're compassion. But when we're in this body, we're experiencing love, empathy, compassion, fear, pain, all of the things. So we're experiencing it, and it's for a short amount of time
it
because
is.
we're only doing it from like the age of maybe 4 or 5 all the way until we're like maybe 70 years old, unless you get Alzheimer's or whatnot. And then all of a sudden it starts, lessening. And then you leave your body and then you are everything. So it's like a short amount of time to be this beautiful human on earth. And how can we master to be this better, fine-tuned human, how whatever perspective you look at it, that's how it is, right? Spirit to
It's-
human. How do you think,
sure.
babe?
Well, as soon as we're born, we get these set of rules, and we're like, what? We gotta do this, do that, and do this other thing.
Yeah,
We gotta go to school. We gotta go to college. We gotta get a car. We gotta get in this whole regime, this program that is installed, and it's like, okay, but is this going to make us better humans? Or and it's like, no, it's not. It's like we're gonna learn how, we're gonna practice being humans. So we are spirit learning how to be humans, and we got to practice this every day by looking inside of ourselves and adjusting and tuning in, fine tuning the embodiment of who we are, and understanding what's going on with us, and understanding what's going on with this earth, because we are part of this earth, and we got to remember that we are part of everything that is our create. We are creator. We are the creation of everything that we have here on earth. So it's like practice, practice, practice being human,
yeah.
and that
And
is like the most difficult task,
it
to do
is.
that.
And the funny thing is, we don't have an inner standing of ourselves. We have an outer standing of the world, or at least some
Yeah.
of us
Yeah,
do. a lot of us still look around like this world's big and confusing, but it's really not that hard once you start to understand. It's funny because all humans are looking for love and acceptance, every single one of us. It's programmed in our body, and then our society reinforces that because, as you were saying, Anthony, well, we have all these rules. You got to go to school, you got to get good grades, you got to go to college, then you got to get married, you got to have a job, the car, the dogs, and everything else, and it becomes so overwhelming because you can't go inner if your whole experience is outer, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, we're not trying to be, and it's one of my no words, better, of course, but it's like we're not trying to be better humans. I think we're being busier humans. We're becoming so busy that we're forgetting who we are and why we're here. Because at least in our culture, the Western culture, it's about this, right? The money. And I think that's what most of us chase. So with the spirit to be human, like how do we how do we start to detach from being like this busy human to going back to that understanding that you were talking about?
I think doing things slower. I think being in the present moment, being more conscious. What Spirit showed me and what one of my visions was if you've ever done Tai Chi or Qigong, and you know how slow it is, that's pretty much how slow the universe moves. It moves like that. It's a constant, just really flowing.
Yeah.
And even if you're moving so fast, you're still moving at that speed. If you're moving slow, you're still moving at that speed. So sometimes we're just wasting a lot of energy, a lot of prana and mana when we're overdoing it and pushing through, and and I know I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I do it, so
I don't know if there's a real definite answer to being that way, is because we always have to keep doing something, so we don't get bored with ourselves or get bored with this earth,
Yeah.
But when you do, go on a, say you go on a major ayahuasca journey,
Yeah.
you do kind of leave or go inside the body. We don't ever go anywhere. It's like going inside and see what's really inside. It gets boring.
Yeah.
And we don't like to be boring because it's the agape. It's the, well, what else is there, right? And so we're like, and that's it. And then it's like,
so
so
yeah, we like creating. We love creating. We love the experience of creating. So we always choose to come back over and over and over again to create, come back to this space to create something new. And then the game's over. It's like a video game. You end that video game and you master it, then you want to go to the next video game. And then you put prettier pictures in there and you're like, oh, let's make it a little more challenging.
Yes.
And it's like, oh yeah, I won, yes. It's like playing pool. It's like, yes, I got it right, and it went that way, and I hit that ball, and it went over there. Oh, I was so good. Yes. So it's like, it's like just living is the best part. Like living the rest of our life instead of dying the rest of our life.
Yes.
And so living on purpose is what I kept getting, was having that purpose is what keeps us here and living instead of dying.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in front of a TV and you're just watching and just numbing yourself out and smoking weed and just chilling all the time, well, you're really not like living, like for real. But if there's something that makes that joy and that happiness, and it's like the light bulb goes on, and it's like, I got an idea.
So if you're just sitting there idling, you're just like, you're just waiting to leave. You're like, and go, well, when am I going to leave? Well, you got to meet Creator halfway, man. You're not going to get anywhere until you accomplish that.
Aren't just going to move to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that will be done. Your will be done. So your will be done. However long you want to be here on earth, or whatever you want to create, everything is according to you. It's your world, and we're just passing through.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's funny because like the other day the song "Born in the USA" came on, and I changed it to "I'm bored in the USA."
Yeah.
And I said, right now I am bored, so I started creating havoc, and not like the chaotic havoc, just fun havoc. I started messing with people, saying things I knew that they couldn't, and and they were like, Raina, what's going on? Like, I'm so confused. And I was like, you know how I'm chicken nuggets? And I started making up things just to have fun because I was creating, like, I saw that everybody was so tense and everybody was so
Yeah.
upset. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
why is everybody like the energy? So I just created chaos, but in a fun way. And people were like laughing and like, Raina, I don't know what's going on right now. I got to go out the door. And it just amazes me how people, like you said, they're not living with purpose. They're just living. They're living to
Hmm.
go to work. They're living to, make whatever rules in their mind happy and satisfied because they need to feel a purpose. But nobody's creating. It's like almost like
Hmm.
robotic. It's like Groundhog's Day. They're waking up doing the same thing over and over and over and not understanding why they're not happy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Well,
like, yeah,
well,
like, go
because
ahead.
they're programmed to survive and not thrive, and
Yes.
those are the programs. And we need to remember that we're here to thrive. We are worthy. We do all the work. This is the third dimensional costume that we utilize to do all the physical stuff. Once we're out of this costume, all we have to do is just think it. And
Yeah.
that's, you know what I mean? So, but this is the fun part though, because we get to take you on a tram and get you sick.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Take you all the way to the top.
I thought
But
I was
you,
gonna die up there. I'm like breathing on this oxygen isn't working. And I'm looking at you guys like, guys, I just want to go back down.
Oh my god.
but it was fun.
It was so much
Hey,
fun, right?
I,
but did you,
it's
But
funny
did you
because
die?
but
well,
did you
I
die?
felt like it. It was funny because as soon as we got up to that top of the mountain, I started to panic and I couldn't understand why because heights bother me, but not like that. And I didn't realize it was the altitude affecting me right away because once I started breathing the oxygen and the sickness started, my panic of being so high up all of a sudden lessened. And not like obviously on the way down, you didn't see me freaking out, But it
Yeah. She's
was
like,
so,
yay, we're going down.
I know. Then you were by the edge. I was like, stop. That was funny. That was funny. I'll do it again, though. I still will do it. So it's funny because as you were saying, we have these missions and purpose, and every single one of us are looking for it. But one of the biggest things that get in the way, and this is something that I experienced, which is the reason why I do the work, is I had a lot of childhood trauma, and I suffered a lot of abuse from like not only my father but from like people around me. I was bullied all the time. I was in fights constantly. I grew up in a very rough area as a child until we moved out into the suburbs, and then I suffered more abuse I had a neighbor that was a bully, and it was just, and so trauma affects the world big time. Like our brains, we hold on to the trauma. And so like because when I say, oh, you got to go inward to look at that, people like freak out, right? And they're like,
Hmm.
I don't want to face that. That's too scary, because I have to face that. So how does the trauma affect our way to get to the point of where we're going to as you say, this understanding, this collective frequency?
Well, triggers and traumas. Well, trauma is actually, it's like a memory. Like if you hit yourself on your toe and you're like, oh, and it just like triggers like all the hurt, pain, the adrenaline, all that stuff, right? So when you go through these traumas, it triggers back memories that you've had in other lifetimes, so you can remember what do I need to shift, what do I need to change. And so we have to have the traumas to have that experience of the density. And then and it's a really beautiful video game we created where we can like embrace that, what we so called the darkness, and embrace the light. And how do we overcome these challenges and these triggers? They're all doorways to find our way back home to our inner standing, to who we really are. And they're like security blankets. It's almost like gentrification. You go to a city and there's gentrified areas and it makes you comfortable. They
Yeah.
even do it in Europe. You go to Europe and there's a gentrified area, right? You're going
Yeah.
to find like different stores and different fast foods and stuff like that to make you feel comfortable in each space that you go to. Well, that's kind of what we do. We create all these triggers and all these traumas so that way we can find our way back home, and it makes us feel comfortable to seeing that other people have the same type of experiences. So I'm not the only one going through this. Or like say you and I, we have the same upbringing experiences, and it's like, oh good, I'm not the only crazy one that went through all that, right? Like, why did I choose that? But this is my mirror, you know. So it makes you feel good because it's like, oh, I'm closer to home. I'm closer to myself. I'm closer to who I really am. And so all these experiences and traumas help us to get there, and it just re-triggers our memories of old lifetimes that we've had, and we've had many lifetimes to create the space that we're in right now. And like, our main mission right now is to collect all of those lifetimes and all of those dimensions and simultaneous beings that we are, bringing them back into one unit, so we can be the divine within, the divine unification within ourselves, so that way we can bring the Christed light to the earth and have an experience of fun and play, instead of all the tumultuary that has happened over lifetimes, here on earth and off planet, you know. So I mean, they're just all different video games we created. That's what
Trauma.
I say. I don't know what he
Yeah,
says.
it's the same thing. I mean, we do have to go through the emotional stuff and to learn from it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is Earth School, right? And we have to learn all of that stuff to either empower us or to like have us seek out how other sources of, you know, how was your experience? And
Yeah.
my experience was like this and that, and this is the same line as Tammy was saying. Us, oh, we're all the same, we're all equal in this circle. We all went through the same traumas one way or another, but in different aspects. So it's just like just being part of the collective and healing that part is what's important. And when we start letting it out of our third chakras, our voices,
Yeah.
and announcing it and putting it in the circle, that way it gets healed in the circle, and we all are healing each other. This is why we gather in circles and we talk about things that hurt, and things that make us happy,
Yeah.
and things that trigger us. That way it gets put into the circle of life, and it gets relieved, it gets taken away. You don't need medication for that. You just need your other selves who speak out and say, yeah, I went through the same thing too. I
Yeah.
say, yeah, of course we are. We're all relations,
Abs-
right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things about trauma is that we take it personal. Our perspective is like, this is done to me, something is done to me, and we become the victim to this idea instead of understanding that these are lessons to teach you about yourself. Because without all as I say, the butt whoopings that I got from people and all that, like, I grew up tough. And the toughness made me strong-willed in the sense that now I can endure a lot of things. And people sit there and say, Raina, I wish I had your strength. And it's like, well, you do have that strength, but you have to be able to face those things that you're taking personal and putting this this ideology of power to it. And you have to realize that's just the illusion that you're creating, that this sense that this lesson is here to teach you about strength, about standing up, about understanding who you are and being that one. But before we get into your comments, we're going to take a break, everybody, and we will be right back after these messages from our sponsor.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back for the third part. And if you are just joining us, you have been missing an amazing show. We are having such a great time. And right before the break, we were talking about trauma and that we were taking, like, a lot of times trauma is taken personal. And as Anthony was saying, it's a form of emotional learning. It's a way for us to learn about ourselves, and it's a way for us to go and see ourselves in a different perspective. And sometimes pain and suffering is the best way we learn, because let's face it, right? A lot of us are stubborn, right, Tammy?
Yep, yep, we are. What are you trying to say?
But
We,
say,
I just met you and I could see it. You're having copy of me. But trauma, and these things called triggers and trauma, and all these things we're calling, like, we're trying to be a human, and we're a spirit and being a human, and all these ideas out there, it kind of makes, like, if you're getting into this or you're kind of trying to find yourself, all this stuff seems overwhelming at times. So sometimes I think that we just need to simplify things. We need to pull back the things and just kind of, like, understand who we are in that moment. And I think what would be some of the best ways, or what did you guys do? I shouldn't say the best ways. What did you guys do when you started your journey to say, you know what, I know I'm a spirit. I'm in this human body, and, like, I want to be able to find my way through this.
It was like a lot of unpeeling. It was a lot of unpeeling of different layers of personas that we have programmed ourselves to be, and so just experimenting. I mean, everything that we've gone through life was preparing us for this point in time. So going back and saying nothing was really wrong, it just was, and it was just an experience. And you go back and you listen to music and just like peel apart the songs, and you're like, yeah, it's the experience, like Jimi Hendrix says, where we thought too, we're overthinking things, and let's just have some fun. Let's have a good time, a wholesome good time. It doesn't have to be getting even with people or competing with others, and then really truly finding that love within ourselves. I think that was one of the biggest, hardest things, was learning how to love myself and forgiving myself for having to go through the things that I had to go through and witness through my upbringing in this lifetime and many other lifetimes, and just really forgiving myself. And I think when we did the whole Pono ritual, I remember saying, Tammy, I love you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you. I'm so sorry you had to witness that or see that. And I had to talk to Tammy outside of myself to see who I really was. And then, of course, they send me my other self in this form.
I
And so it was like, so now I get to talk to him one on one when I never had anybody else to be able to talk to. But when you don't have anybody else to talk to yourself. Even get a mirror and talk to yourself, because it makes it easier for you. It gets you out of the ego to really having an understanding or an inner standing within yourself. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like how I did it. And exploring, I explored every avenue.
Yeah.
We explored to master the things that we needed to master to get to this point, right?
we're for my perspective, or for me, it's there's still things that I have to work on too. We'll never be the perfect human.
Of course. I'm
We
not perfect.
yeah, and we yes, you are. You're very perfect. You're
I'm glad you finally,
in
someone
in
finally.
all aspects of the human nature. But sometimes we have to embrace our flaws,
Yeah, absolutely.
embrace our flaws, and just accept that we're perfect just the way we are.
Hmm.
And yet there's still things that we have to work on, and
Yes.
it's okay. It's part of the experience. It's not part of the destination. There's no destination point that we have to reach to make us the perfect unit.
Yeah,
But
like
that,
that song.
but that's what
Destination unknown.
Yeah.
that's what we're chasing, though. I mean, because we have a limited time here, and we got to chase
Mhm.
this destiny. But there's a finish line, and at that finish line, it's called retirement. And you got to have money, you got to have success, you got to have the family, you got to have all these accomplishments, these awards, and otherwise, then what did we do with our life? And what unhealthy programming that is. One of the things that I find the biggest programming in our society is the gender wars. And when we were at your event, Anthony, along with Tammy, and you hosted this, this forgiving of the masculine and feminine energy. And I absolutely loved that. Like, it made me cry. And because we are so programmed to see ourselves as separate, like, and down here in Florida, especially being in athletics, being a woman trying to play in some men's sports, I see a lot of, and we have this such unhealthy version of this imbalance of masculine and feminine energy. And it just what you did that day, it just was like so touching, and I could see all the guys understanding, like, okay, this isn't about gender, this is about humans, and this is about us, and this is about seeing ourselves along with the women too. And that made me feel more comfortable coming back and being like, okay, you know what, I don't have to be so defensive against these men.
Yeah. We just did that ceremony again on a bigger scale at the event we were at, and it was really amazing because a lot of the men didn't know where they belonged, and a lot of the women didn't realize how much they were holding on to and not letting go. And it was a real good revelation for them to see that we're all each other. I
Yeah.
mean, how can we be united if we're divided? We have to come together, and we have to forgive each other, and we have to forgive ourselves. And that's the key. That's the key to creating our heaven, is forgiveness. And so that's a big pivotal point for a lot of people right now.
It's,
A- Go ahead, Anthony.
it's becoming a big it's becoming a big impact for everyone, all humans. Everybody here on Earth is starting to make an impact, and we're like wanting whoever's picking this up about healing the masculine and feminine energy is like, pass it on. Go in your circles and reflect on that, and that way, this is how we heal in the earth, because we're part of this earth, we're part of this creation. So when we start healing ourselves, then we start healing everyone as a whole picture.
And what we've been witnessing is, because we have many transgender, and we have
Mm-hmm.
many what do I say, no gender, I guess, or
Non,
androgynous, more
Beings.
yeah,
yeah. And they're coming into our life to reprogram us to remember that we're just simply wearing a costume.
yes,
And they're diminishing all reality to show us that it's not about gender, it's not about the innie or the outie, it's about us being a human but having this costume. And what experience are we supposed to have in this costume for now? Because I've been a man in several lifetimes, but
yeah,
now I'm a womb man. I get to have a womb to be able to create another life, and then he gets to be the guy this
Yeah, I
time.
get to be that.
So
Yay!
so he gets to be the one supporting me
Yeah,
and taking care of me, even though sometimes I'm like, I'll do it. No, just kidding.
well, that's what a team is, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it's been a really beautiful change. And we have gay children. We have three gay sons. So it's
Yeah,
been neat to hear from their perspective, and it's all on purpose, of course.
yeah.
absolutely.
And it's all what we attracted to ourselves, and hearing from their perspective of what they need and what they feel. And like my son, he always questions reality and how everything is. And he tells me, why are you trying to segregate me? Why are you trying to put me in a cult? And so, yeah, he doesn't like to go to gay
Yeah,
pride. He'll show up once in a while and go have fun with his friends, but he's
I'm the
not
same.
all about, like, hey, let's make a big old cult about it.
Yeah,
And I said, yeah, you're right. It's not about creating more gangs and cults.
yeah,
It's about us being human. And that's what he says. It's like you guys are trying to push us away and it's not even us. He even says, even in the community, in the gay community, they're segregating
Yeah,
themselves away from
yeah,
yes,
humanity. And so
yes,
I said, well, I think it's time to take back the rainbow flag. And we're
yes,
just going to be the rainbow tribe.
yeah.
yes.
They got so many acronyms for our
They
and
do.
labels for everything. It's like I don't
And
even.
and by trying to be all inclusive, they're actually segregated. I saw that too. I'm the same way because I'm like that. No matter what I do, like I'm in gaming communities, but I'm all to myself. I'm in pool communities, softball, like the LGBT, like, but I'm all to myself. I don't like to attend and be a part of these things because the moment I start to do that, I see well, if you don't believe in this, then I'm not your friend. And if you don't think this way, then you're on the wrong side and you're against us. And I'm like, what? I'm like, it's like, and so people sometimes ask me, they're like, Raina, I don't get you. I'm confused. And I'm like, well, what are you confused? Well, you're very feminine at times, but then you're also masculine. But then there's other times I can't read you. I'm like, well, because, I was like, gender is only for procreation, and for us to understand specific lessons. I go, other than that, there's no such thing. I was like, so most of the time I go, I don't feel like any gender at all. I go, I just feel like a person. You want to treat me like somebody, treat me like a person. Don't treat me like a
Yeah.
woman. Don't treat me like this. Don't treat me like a non-binary.
Mhm.
Like just treat me as a person.
Yeah.
And like the concept, like you see some people say, like okay, and some people like get weirded out by that. But it's like it's this evolution that we're going through that we have to be able to start understanding ourselves and say, there's no like black and white screen anymore. That things aren't this way or that way anymore. There's this whole mix of of herbs and spices and everything, and we can just
Yeah,
create whatever we want, and that's the beauty of life.
Yes.
it's all the colors,
Yeah.
all of it. Everything is encompassed into this experience, and it's beautiful. If you really look inside and see how beautiful all humans are,
Yeah.
we're all beautiful. We just forget sometimes, and we put ourselves down sometimes because of those flaws. And it's just like embracing who you truly are, and stop putting a label on yourself or stop putting labels on people, and
That's a hard
just
program to learn, though, to
Yeah.
undo.
yeah,
It's because it's been embedded and it's been fine
deep
print, and
deep
it's
in
like it's like a tattoo. It's like it's in there,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then
Can't
you got to, yeah, and then you're like, oh God, it's gonna take a long time to take that tattoo off. But
Yeah.
and that's how it is, and we're still unlearning. I
Mhm.
mean, it's like we have to unlearn to be able to go back home,
Yeah.
back home to us. So when we leave this body, we got to unlearn everything so that way we're not replaying this same video game in another lifetime. So, it's like great creator, us at the biggest part of us, we took a major ayahuasca journey and we said, let's see how deep we could go. Let's see how deep and delve in, and let's just split apart. Let's split apart. And the third dimension was the hardest because we split apart the masculine and feminine. And when we did that, it was so hard to try to bring it back together. And that's why it's so important, if we want to heal this earth, that we got to bring the masculine and feminine together so we can have a journey like this, instead of like
Yeah.
All over the
all
place.
over the place and against each other. And once we start neutralizing everything out, what will happen is you won't have to worry about pedophilia. You won't have to worry about murder. You won't have to worry about any of that stuff, because people will be aligned in a way to where they have the consciousness, the Christ consciousness within them. So that's our goal, is to have everybody at that Christ consciousness. We all have our experiences, but we have this Christ consciousness within ourselves. And then once our chakras are all open, right, then that light comes through our body, and then we can live and embody that on the earth, and just be that representation for other people to be able to walk that walk, and live that talk. And that way we don't we're not jealous of people, and we're not against people, and we're not insecure about ourselves, and we're walking in just joy and light and love, and that's what we want to do, is have that. And some people create other things. They want to create whatever they want to create. I always tell them, you can create your heaven or your hell however you want. It's up to you. It's your video game. It's your movie.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, but we're almost out of time. But the last thing I want to say is that like what you're saying about like we all everybody's talking about the 5D, but and we think it's like this blissful land, and it's just like no, there's never going to be a problem ever again.
no.
and that's not what but what you're saying is like this is our playground. This third dimension, this universe right here is our playground. We come here to learn, and there's always going to be chaos. There's always going to, because that's what teaches the
Mhm.
souls that are younger
Yeah,
to evolve, just like it teaches us, because without the chaos in our life, we don't understand. Because if
yeah.
everything was perfect all the time and sunshine and rainbows and we were walking around throwing flowers all the time, you know, nothing
Yeah.
would be
So
achieved.
the densest that we all agreed upon was fourth dimension, because there's still the merging of the masculine and feminine. It's
Yeah.
not so divided, and you're still going to have an experience, but it's not going to be to the 10th power that we were going
Right.
through. It
Yes.
took us forever to get out of that realm, and it took us a lot of planning to dig ourselves out of it. It reminds me of Poltergeist, when he falls into that swimming pool
Yeah.
and there's all those dead bodies, and he keeps trying to get out, and then
Yeah.
he falls back.
That
That's
was
kind of like
that
what
was
we went
her.
through.
That was the white.
Yeah.
They actually used real skeletons in that, and then they told her what was going. Yeah, they used
Yeah.
real
And they
skeletons.
couldn't get out.
Yeah.
It's important for us to get
Yes.
get out of that. And that was our main mission, was to get out of that. And instead of seeing everything from this perspective, which is 3D, and
Yeah.
then questioning everything is 4D, and then 5D is everything just
Here.
is. But we
Yeah.
have to go beyond that, of course. But 5D was just the goal. That's
Yeah.
just the goal. And that was just a
Once
verbal way of telling people. But it's the experience of just questioning. So.
Oh, perfect. All right, guys. Well, I would love to continue this, but we are out of time, and unfortunately, YouTube and all these places always like to have a time limit. So, anyways, before we go, because I know people are going to find you as fabulous as I do. Do you guys have any contact information, websites, numbers, email addresses, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we're on collectivefrequency.net, and we are Anthony Tammy Chino on Facebook, and you can also join Collective Frequency on Facebook, the group, and put your content on there. We encourage everybody to, so that way we can find each other. And then we have Collective Frequency on Instagram and TikTok as well. And our email is tammychino123@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys were an absolute
Thank
joy to have
you.
on the show. Thank you.
Thank
Yay,
you
thank you. We
too.
love you.
Love
We
you.
Love
miss you.
you. All right, everybody. That is it for tonight's show. As always, if you'd like to join us on our Facebook, facebook.com/I Am Evolution Podcast. Our YouTube is youtube.com/at I Am Evolution. Our TikTok is at I Am Evolution 33. So, go to my website, soulandspiritguide.com. Sign up for the newsletter and receive VIP access and special guest offers and all sorts of hidden shows and different things like sessions. There's a lot of amazing things going on our website. If you have any questions, comments, or anything about the show, email me at iamevolution33@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I do, please share it. The only way we share our collective frequency, as Tammy and Anthony say, is by sharing one another and engaging one another and really boosting each other up. And always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities, our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.